Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is LaKeesha Hines, and you're watching the Firestarter Show. I'm so excited to be here with you all this evening to continue our conversation about doing sex God's way. Yep, doing sex God's way. We all have a way of going about doing things, right? Our own way, the way the world says we should do it. But we are continuing our discussion about doing things God's way. Okay. So, previously, if you watched, we were talking about multiple things as it pertains to how God actually views sex. And so, just give you a quick little recap if you missed the other episodes, you can always go back and watch the replay, of course. But the first thing we talked about is how sexual intimacy is actually for God's glory, which again takes us outside of our selfishness, which is what we're talking about tonight. Also, that intimacy in marriage, it actually brings couples together and unites them. It should be regular. And tonight we are talking about how it should not be selfish. And so hopefully you're excited about this because it's all about growth, personal growth and development, trying to get us all to a better place, right? To become the best version of ourselves that we can possibly be. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I will give you the scriptural reference that I gave you before. I'll just remind you of what it was, and it actually comes from First Corinthians chapter 7, verses 2 through 5. And what I would like to target are these two verses. Each man should have sexual relations with his own wife, and each woman with her own husband. The husband should fulfill his marital duty to his wife, and likewise, the wife to her husband. The wife does not have authority over her own body, but yields it to her husband. In the same way, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but yields it to his wife. Do not deprive each other, except perhaps by mutual consent and for a time, so that you may devote yourselves to prayer. Then come together again, so that Satan will not tempt you because of your lack of self control. So there it is, folks. There it is. And that's what the Bible has to say about sexual intimacy in marriage. And so, literally, this is Paul writing, and he is describing sexual intimacy in terms which probably would have been surprising and somewhat alarming to the readers back then, because neither husband nor wife possess authority over their own bodies. And for female readers, like, real talk, this would have been straight up revolutionary. Why? Because women during that particular time were considered the legal property of their husbands. So to say that they don't possess authority over their body, they're like, yeah, we know that. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for pointing that out and reminding us that we don't. But he went on to say that the husband doesn't either. And that's why it would have been revolutionary for those women at that time, because it's now putting us on an even playing field, right? Because really what he was teaching is that each partner, male and female, had the right to mutual sexual relations, and nothing like that had ever been said before. And the truth is, the wife is entitled to sexual relations with her husband. It is a reciprocity that, again, was not really talked about during that time. So we have to, like, completely be reoriented, right, to this one-sidedness of sex for husband and wife in the first century. Like, literally, it's a game changer. The husband and wife are to give to one another, and they are to willingly, keyword, willingly yield their bodies to each other. I hope you heard me. I hope you heard me loud and clear. So here's the thing. This was all about first century Corinthian culture, but also we have to make sure that our biblical sexual ethics fly in the face of 21st century Western culture because the Bible tells us that sex is not solely about you. It is not solely about you and your needs. It's not about self satisfaction. Sex is meant to be about bringing pleasure and love to your spouse. And if we think about it in the context of marriage as a whole, many of us got married for the wrong reason. We got married thinking, okay, I'm going to go into this marriage. What is it that this spouse can do for me? Which was completely wrong. It was straight up the wrong attitude. We need to be entering into marriage thinking, how can I serve? Because that's what we're called to do. And we're supposed to model ourselves after our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, right? And he was a servant leader. So that means that we need to model that and we need to serve. That is what we're supposed to be doing. So, when we're talking about sexual intimacy, we literally have to ensure that we are no longer focusing on our individual personal needs, focusing on ourselves, but we're actually focused on our spouse, focused on the other person, their needs and their desires. And literally, what happens is we enter into a space of self-denial and self-sacrifice, which is critical to the success of any marital relationship, intimacy or not. Self-denial, self-sacrifice is a major, major part of the success, again, of your marriage. And so we have to enter into these spaces thinking, how can I serve, and not focused on being served. All right. So when we have this mutual reciprocity where I'm focused on meeting the needs of my spouse and my spouse is focused on meeting my needs, we both are having our needs met and taken care of. And so God's desire for us is to ensure that I'm focused on my spouse and he's focused on me instead of me sitting over here saying, okay, spouse, what you going to do to meet my needs? How you going to satisfy me? Right? I need to be focused on meeting his needs and he focused on meeting mine. And that's the reciprocity that honors God. And it creates that space and opportunity for mutual pleasure, mutual enjoyment, and joy as a whole. And it's endless when we maintain those attitudes. So the less sex becomes about you and the more it becomes about what your spouse wants and needs, the healthier the relationship. Also, when sex becomes less about what your spouse owes you and transitions to how you can serve, that's when your sexual intimacy is completely transformed from just being a physical act to an actual display of the gospel story, and which is exactly what Paul was talking to us about. All right. So that's the foundation of where we're coming from. I'm going to give you 3 tips that I think are going to help you in this area, but we'll take a quick break. Do not swipe left or right. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're watching the Firestarter Show. Hello, everyone, and happy Thursday. My name is LaKeesha Hines, and I'm a fire starter. My new show, The Firestarter Show, airs every Thursday night live at 7 p.m. on Facebook and on my YouTube channel. Words cannot begin to express how excited I am or how much I'm looking forward to sparking up a conversation with you. Speaking of spark, let me tell you what it stands for. Sex, parenting, arts, relationship, and kingdom. This show will motivate, inspire, and excite all those seeking to enhance their lives. Not only will I ignite the fire, I'll help you keep the flame. See you tonight. All right. All right. So please be sure you like, share, and subscribe. Please share with your friends and family and let them know what's going on, that the Firestarter Show is here live and in full effect. And I love it when you join me live. You can always catch the replay. If something resonates with you, drop a comment. Let me know. Also, share. Let other people know that, hey, this resonated with me and I think it might resonate with you. And even if it doesn't resonate with the person that you're sharing it with, they may know somebody. So spread the word, spread the word. I appreciate that. All right. So let's get into these tips that I think actually might assist on this journey toward satisfying sex and doing sex God's way. All right. Number 1, Not no, not now. Okay. Not no, not now. What do I mean? All right. So there is this controversy going around within marriages, especially within the Christian community, faith-based communities, where women, wives, are being taught to never say no, never deny their husbands sex. And what that does is it literally has sex revolving around the husband's needs. And so while he may desire a sexual encounter, she, the wife, desires intimacy. And now just think about that. What if we told a husband, no matter how tired or distracted you are, never say no when your wife wants to talk or cuddle? Never say no. Like, do we really want talking to become an obligation? So the goal is to have both spouses fulfilled and satisfied intimately. And what does that require? Communication, sensitivity, and compromise. So instead of saying no, how about trying saying not now? Right? So it's like if you had sex right when your husband asked, you might not be in the mood, you may be exhausted, you may be tired, you may be frustrated, kids may have gotten on your nerves, you may have had a horrible time at work, and it's just not, you're just not in a good space, right? So when a spouse tries to initiate, and I'm specifically talking to my ladies, if he tries to initiate, give him a time within the next 24 hours when you'll be ready to say yes. That way, you have time to prepare yourself in every realm, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and then physically, so that sex can be satisfying and fulfilling to you both. And it also sends a message to your spouse to consider your needs instead of just communicating their own. So it opens up that dialogue for you all to communicate, and it opens up this awareness that I'm not always where you are when you're there. We may be at different places at different times, and that often happens, and that's okay. All right. So, number two, invest, don't protest. Invest, don't protest. So, there's some couples that I'm working with where the husband has a high sex drive and the wife has a low sex drive, and then it's been the flip. The wife has a high sex drive, the husband has a low self drive, and they are not in alignment. It is rare, can happen, but it's rare where you find a husband and wife both have the same sex drive. Like both of them have a really, really high sex drive. It happens, just like you'll have two that have a low sex drive, but oftentimes there's misalignment, right? And even if you started off on the same level, over time, as you know, you get more seasoned, you get more wisdom. There are times where you may fall out of alignment where you were in alignment once before. So at the end of the day, arousal takes effort. And your sexual appetite will be little to none unless you work on developing it, right? So we have to make it a priority to work on building healthy intimacy with our spouses. All right. Think about it. When's the last time you bought something sexy for the bedroom or something special for the bedroom? When is the last time you spent some time planning a creative date, an intimate date, a sexual date? When's the last time you prayed about your sex life? Yeah, that's right. You can pray about your sex life. You can ask God to show you how to enjoy intimacy with your spouse. But the reality is this: you must invest. You must invest, right? And there are different things that you can do, different things that you can try, but you do have to make passion a priority in your relationship in a way that will not only honor your spouse, but will also honor God. And then last but not least, drive means you're alive. Drive means that you're alive. What do I mean by that? I mean that as long as you have a sex drive, it means that you're alive. You have a pulse, right? You're alive. So it's a good thing. And there are often times where you have one spouse who, again, they're in misalignment sexually. And so the one who has a lower is often in judgment and criticism of the one who has a higher, and they believe that, oh my God, this is a curse. So literally, it can come off very harsh and cruel and judgmental when that spouse is like, okay, I want to go, but then you don't. It can sound like, gosh, didn't we just do this the other day? So, you never want to make either person feel bad about their level and where they're at. You don't want to make the person who has a high drive feel bad, and the person who has a low drive shouldn't feel bad either. Right. So literally, we have to look at the fact that our spouses desire us and they're craving us as a gift rather than an obligation. Okay. And that's a huge mindset shift that can honestly save your marriage, because it's great that we're still desiring each other in that way and want to be intimate, right? And that is true, but we do just have to be considerate of one another and make sure that we are not only focused again on our own individual needs, but that we are focused on the needs of our spouses. All right, so hopefully this helps you tonight. And if you have any questions, comments, or whatever, you can always reach out. You can post in the comments here. You definitely can shoot a text. You can shoot a text to 727-213-8247, 727-213-8247, or you can check out the website, LaKeeshaHines.com, and you can always get information there. So I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And again, any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to reach out. Let me know. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. All right. You all have a great night, and thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.